A slightly different video today, but it's one that I think we all go through at one point in our life, and that is when we're transitioning to a new environment or a new lifestyle. For me, the most difficult time of my life was when I was around 30 to 32 years of age, where I was transitioning out of a partying lifestyle, like most of us do in our 20s, to a different lifestyle where we want something different. And for me, that was mainly health, being active, trying new things, etc. And so with this video, I just wanted to highlight what I went through, which a lot of us will be able to relate to, and kind of how I got out of my rut and essentially my most disappointing couple years of my life, how I turned it around, and how you can as well. The beautiful thing is, if you'd asked me if I'd be in this position 3 or 4 years ago, I would never have believed you. And that is the power and the beauty of trying new things and working on yourself, working on your health, working on your mindset, trying to be more positive, being more grateful for what you have in your life, all of that kind of good self-development stuff. Throughout my 20s, I drank heavily. I was living it up in London. Every single weekend, it was pubbing, it was clubbing, it was raving, it was drinking to, not to excess, but it was drinking heavily. It was getting after it, and I don't regret it at all because it provided me with so many memories, so many experiences, and it's just a fun way to live life, right? When you're in your 20s and you have slightly less responsibilities. However, as time goes on and you get to your late 20s, you get to your early 30s, things start to change, right? Your friends start to get into relationships. They might move out of the city into the more suburban countryside area, so you're going to see less of them. We're likely going to get promotions at work, so work pressures are going to increase. We're going to have more responsibilities inside and outside of the office, and in general, just life changes, right? You start to go out a lot less and you start to see your friends a lot less. And once you've been so used to socializing in a certain way, so for myself was lots of drinking, lots of partying, and then that starts to be taken away from you, you're kind of left with, okay, now what do I do? You know, it got to a stage where, especially if you're living in a city like London, where there's a very, very big drinking culture, you're like, well, what am I going to do on the weekend if I'm not going to go to the pub and drink? You know, it does get to that stage. And so you have to try and start to find new ways to have fun, new ways to socialize. And so I found this very difficult for a couple years because, like I said, I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Like, how do I socialize with people? How am I going to meet up with people if I'm not going to the pub? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And for me, a big part of this was taking a career break and doing a bunch of solo traveling. Now, I understand that not everyone can take a career break. I am a big believer that we can definitely save more money than we do. I think a lot of us chase a lifestyle inflation where we get a certain amount of money and then we'll buy something with that, whether it's renting a nice house or buying a nice house or cars or all the material stuff, and then we get promotions, we get more money, we just up our lifestyle, right? I think if we reduced that or just stayed as it was for a couple of years, there are ways that we can save money to then go on a career break and travel. But if you're not in a position to do that, it's really just about trying new things, you know, whether that's a sport, a new gym, you know, gym classes are great, any new activity or any new hobby, and also surrounding yourself or just in general having a more open mindset to meeting different types of people. Because if you're constantly hanging around with the same type of people of what you were in your early 20s to your early 30s, you should find that you'll veer away from a lot of those people because they were acquaintances, you know, they were people that you'd go out and have a good time with and party. Now, I'm lucky, and I'm sure you're lucky as well. We've had some very good friends that have remained with us from our early 20s to our early 30s and will keep remaining with us for the rest of our life. However, a lot of your drinking buddies, you know, if you want to start to change that lifestyle and move away from it, you will eventually kind of move away from them. And so essentially with this video, I just want to say it's at the start of anything, it's really hard to see the end goal, right? The vision, because it looks so far away. But time is the best healer, right? And it's little habits, it's little moments that you start to do on a consistent basis that eventually become habitual, and it starts to become normal. And now I'm in a position 2 or 3 years later where it's normal for me to go to a pub and maybe not have an alcoholic drink, or it's normal for me to socialize with my friends over a coffee or brunch, or go for a run, or go to the gym, or go for a hike, or do something active instead of go to the pub. And so the final message of this video is just to realize that this will take time. We all go through transitional periods in our life. It is difficult for everyone, especially when you've been doing something for, say, a decade. You know, you like habits, right? They're hard to get out of. They're hard to break. They're hard to change. And so just have that patient mindset that it might take a year, it might take 2 years, but sooner or later you'll be able to look back and be like, yeah, cool, I made a better version of myself. And the best position is to be in when you still drink and you still can enjoy a beverage with your friends like I do, but then also have this whole new lifestyle of health and activity and positivity and all that kind of stuff. So I hope this video was useful. Yeah, like I said, it caters to, for me anyway, it was my early 30s that were difficult. So this might be mid-20s, late 20s, or it could be mid-40s, late 40s, whatever, right? We have different transitional periods in our life. This one was just a big pivotal transition for me. So I hope this was useful. Would appreciate any comments on this different type of video.